The problem that I have with radical left Democrats is that they have to bring racism, racist, misogynist, Marxist accusations against the person they are debating against. When they are losing on the losing side of a debate or an argument, because they have nothing left to say. They have nothing logical to say. Everything that the radical left, when it comes to education, the economy, foreign affairs, inflation, they don't use logic when discussing numbers or debating. They have to drum up and summon emotion to somehow overcome the logic that the other person is talking about in order to overpower the conversation and make it null and void for the most part. But I think the tactic is to distract away from radical left Democrats not doing nothing at all for the American citizens and doing everything in their power to do things for people outside of the United States, like Ukraine or the 10 plus million illegal immigrants or illegal aliens that have come into this country illegally over the past 3.5 years. Now, specifically though, tonight I want to talk about how the Chicago Teachers Union president, Stacey Davis Gates, has blamed conservative Republicans for Chicago students' failure in public schools. Failure to read, failure to calculate math, simple math, science, and any other subject that they're graded on to move to the next level and then eventually graduate. Here are some of Stacey Davis Gray's comments on what she thinks about school choice and the voucher program and having a choice period of taking children who are in poor neighborhoods out of crumbling schools and putting them into charter schools, magnet schools, and private schools. Take a look.
Tonight, the head of the Chicago Teachers Union is facing intense backlash after it was revealed that her eldest son is enrolled in a private Catholic school. Now, the reason that this is at all controversial for some people is because Stacey Davis Gates has championed the city's public school system while consistently voicing strong opposition to private education. Now, last year, she underscored her position on the issue, saying, quote, "I can't advocate on behalf of public education without it taking root in my own household." And joining me now is Stacey Davis Gates. Stacey, thank you for being here. We wanted to have you on so you could help explain what happened here. You've likened in the past private schools of today to, quote, segregation academies of the Jim Crow South. Why then send your child to a private school after speaking out so publicly against them?
I didn't speak out against private schools. I spoke out against school choice. School choice and private schools are two different entities.
In your tweet, you describe basically you've described private schools of the North. That was literally your language. But you've also said this, that school choice was the choice of racists. I think at the end of the day, people are asking here about whether the rhetoric matches your actions. What do you say to them?
Well, I would say that if we understand the desegregation of schools post Brown v. the Board of Education, we also understand that school districts in the South in particular closed down entire school districts, offered money to families, white families, so they could get accepted into private schools. That is, in fact, the origin of school choice in America. And I know that the right wing wants to obscure that in the same way that they want to tell us that slavery was a job training program.
Yeah, so I got two public service announcements to make before I get into the reaction of the video. The first one is I apologize for the background change. I was on the road traveling for the last couple weeks, and I shot the videos as the opportunities became available. Unfortunately, I ran out of time, and so now I'm back home somewhere in Virginia. It's good to be home, home sweet home. And I am here to continue my commentary on this very special topic of the radical left Democrats always blaming conservative Republicans for their failures, especially in this Chicago public school system where children are failing. Number two, I want to give a shout out to my Marine Corps buddy who inspired me today on July 5th on a Friday, the year of our Lord 2024. I just recently unpacked my recording equipment out of my packed bags and, wanted to resume this content. It's very old news. Stacey Davis Gates made these comments, most of them anyway, back in 2023, but I just wanted to highlight some updates for you. All right. So enough about that. I really appreciate my Marine Corps buddy inspiring me to do it. He's from the great state of North Kakalaki, and when he sees this, he's going to know exactly who I'm talking about. So done with that. Really appreciate my support for my 360 subscribers. I hope you stick around because there's more to come, and I hope you spread the word. And the more you spread the word, the more truth comes out. All right. Back to Stacey Davis Gates. I want to quickly make 3 points about what she just said and what you just heard. What she said, number one, she's a hypocrite, right? Because she had negative things to say about school choice, but made the choice to send her oldest son to a private school for a sports venue that wasn't available in Chicago public schools. Perfectly understandable, right? Here's the thing about school choice, right? People like her that have the six-figure income, that have the notoriety, who know people that can get around the waiting list and all this other kind of stuff, can get her child into a private school, magnet school, charter school, or really, really, really good public school outside her residential zip code. The average American who's living from paycheck to paycheck do not have that opportunity that she has. So the mere fact that she is going to downplay the importance of the federal and state government to get behind school choice vouchers for every other average American like you and me, to send our kids to a school that her kid has the benefit of going to, cleaner streets, better quality education, and everything like that. She doesn't want that for us. She just wants it for her. She's coming out of her pocket to do it, but the federal and state sponsored school choice voucher program would afford average income households to do the same. Right? So she's a hypocrite on that. My second point is that she claims that school choice and sending her kid to a private school are two separate entities. They are one in the same. I'll give you an example. School choice is in the hearts and minds of the parents that want better for their children. They have two choices: either reach into their pockets and fund their own kid's school choice, or if there's a federal and state program available to create a voucher for families who can't quite afford private magnet or charter schools out of pocket, that program is there for them. So school choice coming from the federal and state government is there to supplement the lack of financial means for the average family to send their kid to a better school. And basically, school choice is at a hierarchy, right? There's a choice that parents have to make. They have to be like, okay, stay where I'm at in a fucked up school, or send my child to better neighborhoods and better schools. And there's one or two ways that can happen: out of pocket or federal and state programs, right? So school choice, so private school, magnet schools, and charter schools, and really, really, really good public schools is school choice, but it's a subset of school choice. You know, choice means that you have the means at your disposal to make the choice, right? And the school voucher program allows average Americans who don't make six figures a year to have their the parents send their kids to a school of their choice, of better quality. And the last thing I'll say is, the third point I want to make is that I think she was right about school choice being rooted in white Americans that were fighting against school desegregation. But we're in 2024. We're in a different dynamic. The challenge now is quality of life. And although some people may argue that white people getting away from blacks was a form of quality of life, we've been integrated for so long that we should be smart enough to understand that you don't judge a book by its cover. We use that phrase a lot, but I think very few of us know what it means. What it means is that you have to look at the person's heart, you have to look at the person's character, you have to look at the person's mind and see what they come to the table with. No longer is the case where your skin color should mean anything. It should mean brain power, speaking power, heart power, and the determination to do the right thing when nobody's looking. So yeah, school choice may have and most likely did come from discriminatory practices when it came to school desegregation, and whites wanted to move away from that. But in 2024, it's so much more. It's so much more. We have access. We have equal access to information. We have equal access to technology. We have equal access to voice our opinion on social media, mainstream media. We have equal access to succeed in this nation, regardless of skin color. So, that whole Jim Crow and all this other kind of stuff, it doesn't make any sense to me. All right. But I want to focus my next clip on her perpetuation, Stacey Davis Gates' perpetuation of the lies that the radical left want to lead you to believe about conservative Republicans, especially America First conservative Republicans.
The latest teacher union contract proposals that have been made public, those demands have, of course, drawn some fire from some conservatives for being too big, of course, but also including too many elements not directly concerned with education, and that's a philosophical change for the union over the last 2 years. What do you say to people who say, "Wait a minute, you're getting into stuff that you shouldn't have anything to do with what's going on in the classroom"?
Well, it's really interesting. And so I'll say two things. One, I'll take care of the conservative argument. Number one, conservatives don't even want Black children to be able to read. Remember, these same conservatives are the conservatives who probably would have been championing Black codes, during Reconstruction or thereafter. So forgive me again if conservatives pushing back on educating immigrant children, Black children, children who live in poverty, doesn't make my anxiety go up. That's what they're supposed to say. That is literally a part of the oath that they take to be right wing.
So that clip you just heard was a direct response to the Chicago Teachers Union president making a proposal to the Chicago Public School Board on for $50 billion with a B for items on that demand list that has nothing to do with supporting Chicago school teachers and supporting the failing students that go to the public schools. Here's a more detailed examination of what that proposal entailed. Take a look.
This morning, outrage in Chicago, and here's why. The teachers union demanding $50 billion worth of changes in their contract negotiations, including facilities for migrants, really, free abortions, and a yearly raise of nearly 10% that could see salaries double. It's a staggering amount for teachers in a city where only 21% of eighth graders are proficient readers, and even less, 16% are proficient in math. Illinois parent Miley Smith is the senior director of labor policy at the Illinois Policy Institute. Miley, your reaction to these demands?
Well, CTU's leadership has a long history of progressive activism. It focuses on power and politics over what's best for teachers and students. And, in 2022, it handpicked and bankrolled Mayor Brandon Johnson into office, one of their own employees. And so this was kind of to be expected. Now it's taking this opportunity of having one of its own across the bargaining table to advance its most radical agenda yet. And like you said, we've already seen the results of CTU's activism. Math and reading scores are plummeting. Just 1 in 4 students can read at grade level within Chicago public schools. It's even worse in math. It's even worse for low-income students. Chronic absenteeism is rising. Enrollment is dropping as people are leaving CPS. And this has all been while a radical slate of CTU leaders have been at the helm.
Folks, you got to get educated on this stuff. It was the Republican Party that helped blacks get elected into Congress. It was the Republican Party that helped blacks build businesses during the Reconstruction. It was the Republican Party that helped blacks get educated at the rate needed to catch up from the illiteracy rate during slavery and during that horrific time period. You got to understand that you cannot let these radical left Democrats lie to you about the history of the Republican Party and their relationships with blacks during the Reconstruction period. So that's one point that I want to make. The second point I want to make is going back to that $50 billion worth of demands coming from the Chicago Teachers Union president. What does free abortions for school board members and teachers union members have to do with educating Chicago public school students? What does that have to do with anything? Do these members plan on hubbing it up and hobnobbing and having sex parties during their tenure and then use abortion as some sort of contraceptive? What is that all about? What does using underutilized school buildings for illegal aliens? These illegal aliens should not be in our country, period. But yet we're going to use taxpayer dollars to house them. For what? What is the purpose behind that? They're here illegally and they should be deported as quickly as possible. Another thing that I want to, the third point that I want to make is that why are the demands for a 9% increase in teacher salaries when students are failing in Chicago public schools. Yeah, performance should be linked to salary raises in any school board across the country. And so the radical left Democrats will do anything and say anything to remain in power, to push a globalist agenda. Their agenda is to dumb down the public so that they are too lazy to do their own due diligence and research about the people that they put into office. Stacey Davis Gates, I always get that last name wrong. Stacey Gates and Mayor Brandon Johnson out of Chicago, they are at fault for students failing. They are the ones that should be blamed for poor grades and poor attendance. They are the ones responsible for the absenteeism in Chicago public schools. Don't blame this on conservative Republicans, okay? Do not blame this on conservative Republicans. And if you are a resident, I don't care what your skin color is, if you are a resident in Chicago, you need to, school choice and better performance schools need to be on the ballot the next time you go vote. We need to get these rascals out of here because they are not doing anything in your best interest. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe so that the word can get out. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you.